Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
I would equate the term speaking against the bill to speaking against telling parents what their children are required to read. Speaking against telling parents what their children are required to read. The word banning, Mr. President, is, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this because these are passages that aren't sugarcoated. The word banning is a lie. There is no suggestion in this bill of banning any single book. And the senator from Grayson is a lot nicer fellow than me, so he wouldn't read these passages. How can we debate them if we don't read them? So I'll redact some of the language, but I'll read them. What could a burnt-out old black man say to the hunchbacked 11-year-old girl? A bolt of desire ran through his genitals, softening the lips of his anus. He wanted to F her tenderly, but tenderness wouldn't hold. The tightness of her V was more than he could bear. His soul seemed to slip down his guts and fly into her.
Mr. President.
I understand.
But, Mr. President, would the gentleman yield for a question?
Would the senator yield for a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, would the gentleman agree that the language that he is even redacting may not be best to have the pages in the room, and that the reading of this document may not be valuable at this point?
Oh, Mr. President, I would wholeheartedly agree, and I would submit that no one should have to listen to that as a minor without the consent of their parents. Mr. President, if I could conclude.
The senator from James City County.
Would the gentleman yield for a question?
The senator from Buckingham. Yield
Absolutely,
for a
Mr. President.
Mr. President, I respect your articulation, and I'm asking whether or not you would respect my very humble request to perhaps not be so explicit and to rely upon the articulation that I know is embodied in your spirit and your mind.
Absolutely, Mr. President. If I might conclude, I'll cease reading. I think that makes the point, doesn't it?
Thank you, sir.
And I apologize, that was a rhetorical question. Mr. President, the bottom line is this: nothing in this bill bans anything. To speak against the bill is to speak against informing parents what their children are required to read. And I'll close with this: I'd like veto power before your village is unleashed on my child. Thank you.